Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And the most important thing is that we all have learned from you. So you are like a mentor for us, for our community, because especially the Q&As that you do, they have been very helpful for me, especially, and others as well. So yeah, really, really awesome. And but I do have one question for you that
Mhm.
how did you get started from it? Because we all learn from you so much, but every master has to start somewhere. So where did you start it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in the beginning, maybe the first couple of years, if somebody would have asked me that, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, go watch like these three podcasts and listen to this stuff or whatever." And it was pretty straightforward. These days, I've been doing it for about 5 years, so it's definitely a mix of learning from others, and then at this point, a lot of the things that I learn or ways that I look at things are um, a lot of self-taught stuff.
Nice.
So I would say, like, if you're getting started, I think one of the first videos I watched to help me understand just the basics was like, I mean, super old school. Goodness, this was back in, I'm not even going to get the dates right. But originally, Jungle Scout, the founders had a like step-by-step PPC tutorial that they were walking through. Like, it was a there's I think there was, I don't remember if there was 2 lessons or more than 2 lessons, but it definitely gave you the basics as far as like, all right, so here's how you go about finding keywords and here's how bids work and all of that good stuff. So whenever anyone asks me like what I'm working on right now, like, oh, what do everyone wants to know like what's
Yeah.
that, secret campaign
Yeah.
setup? Like what's the hack? What's the bid hack you guys use? I don't think there really is a hack. If anyone asks like what we're doing, like we're definitely leveling up. I was just thinking about it today, like the things that we're doing in terms of tool stack or skill set in our agency exponentially improved. That being said, like I still think it's getting better at the basics. I still don't think you ever move past the basics. I think becoming an advanced, user of Amazon advertising is just one, improving efficiency, and then two, improving um, quality of the basics, which is bids and keywords that you're targeting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, I think more of it is in testing, especially I think since last year they have, Amazon has started rolling out, aggressively things. So
Yes,
yeah, and to be
exponentially.
very honest, I am getting tired of it because every month there is something new, and I can't even test some of the things. For example, the rest of search, the bid adjustment that they have launched.
Yeah.
Uh, they launched it, I guess it was 7th October or 8th October, the official launch of it. And right next to it was the Prime Day, so I couldn't even touch it, because to be very honest, I was scared that if I mess it up, the whole Prime Day is gonna get affected. So yeah,
Yeah.
we wrote that out. And then there is another one, the scheduling, the day parting one, that has finally come to uh,
Mm,
Amazon.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually going to implement it tomorrow for my,
Oh, very
the
cool.
brands that I work on. So yeah, previously we, if you're using any tools, for example, Perpetual or some other tools that we use in house, they do, they used to have that thing where they would shut off the campaigns manually and then
Yeah.
turn it on manually. So yeah, that was still around. But yeah, day parting as a Amazon's own. Yeah, that would be helpful, I guess, but I still have to test it out. So yeah, I'll see. So and my next question would be, do you obviously you might have started your own brands as well. So do you like, which one was it? And was it pre-COVID or was it post-COVID?
So managing brands, or sorry, I didn't quite understand the question.
uh, the question is, your own brand, did you start any own
Mm.
product, or did you sell any own product? So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So way back in the day when we first got started, whenever I say we, I'm referring to my
Yeah.
husband. So my
Yeah.
husband's
Yeah.
co-founder with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The official title is co-founder. But yeah, so we got started in selling. So currently we don't have our own brands. One, just because it takes all of our time to just manage the ads. To your point of like
Yeah.
all the updates, gosh, keeping on top of the updates is ridiculous. So we kind of wound that down. Now that brand super small level, But of course that brought us into, oh, there's this whole world of selling on Amazon, and then retail arbitrage, private label, and then moving into being aware of the ad console and kind of what that takes. And it was a very natural progression into management of the ads for other sellers. It's kind of our trajectory.
That's interesting. So what do you think about online arbitrage? Yeah, I'm gonna start with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, gosh, over 5 years ago. So times have changed. Benefits to online arbitrage is it's pretty easy to get started on a small scale. Downsides to online arbitrage, or I mean, so you have like retail arbitrage and then you have online arbitrage. It's a hamster wheel you got to keep spinning. I mean, so with private label, like you typically you get your sourcing, and then you're going to you have your reorders and you have your manufacturers, and like, yeah, that takes time and vetting, and there's a whole process in getting all that up and running. But ideally, if you find the right supplier and you're able to make that relationship, then it's just a matter of making sure you maintain that relationship and then having your reorders. And so eventually it becomes much easier on the back end. Versus, so if you're doing retail arbitrage, like you better hope the stores
Yeah.
keep stocking. And then online arbitrage, that can be tricky in itself, because if somebody else discovers the same
Yeah.
product, there's not really any hedge against other people selling it. So there's that whole thing. And then, rotating the buy box. So, I mean, pros and cons to each of them. I think in today's climate, retail arbitrage and online arbitrage is pretty difficult.
Yep.
It's like, affiliate marketing, blog writing, YouTube to make money. Like, there's all of these things that are, I mean, still people are viably using them as an income source. It's just, it's not the come up days where,
Yeah.
it was super easy to find and easy to get started with.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, it was, really easy and really also very, profitable as well. But now, the profit margins are thin as well. And I had my friend on who used to do stuff like this. And, the only thing he has to say was that, we are always in the price battle with others. So, it
Yeah.
just kills our margin, and, we just are trying to avoid it
Yeah.
as much as we can. Whereas on PL side, it's just whole a lot of work. So to be very honest, because you have to, because the way I see PL is that, your private label is that, you start with the branding, and then you have to, make up your mind of, how do you see the brand. And I think you have to do at least 5 year or 10 years, thing on it, where you have to take care of everything, every timeline, make a timeline for it, where how it starts, and how you will take there, and what you want to do with it. So yeah, Amazon on itself is, it's getting quite difficult, especially the issue with the aggregators that we are seeing since
Mhm.
last year, that
Yeah.
it has disturbed the whole industry by a lot. What's your take on it?
So I think as a platform, it's just getting more sophisticated. And
Yep.
so you can't play a half-in game these days. Like it used to be, you could be like, oh, I'm gonna do a little bit of retail arbitrage, or hey, let me go find this private label, let me do a crap ton of search find buys and
Yeah.
like cost per clicks, or for generic keywords, like cents on the dollar. Like I can,
Yeah.
there's this whole world. So um used to be like, I mean, back in the day, I think this was like slightly before we got started. It was really the Wild West. So the
Yeah.
support, so it's like everything has a different season and different pros and cons. So in the original, like OG days, like even before they had the advertising and stuff, right?
Yep.
The potential was almost like there was like infinite upside.
Yep.
The downside was there was little to no support. So those original sellers, I mean, like even when I got into advertising, 5 years ago, to your point, like, oh wow, we really listened to you for advice. In my come up days, there was a lot of people still sharing advice, on, oh, to the point of the Jungle Scout people
Yeah.
who are putting out information, right? They had to go in and figure all that stuff out, right? So
Yeah.
like the OGs, they were honestly paving the way for the rest of the people to come in. And it was a lot of find it, figure it out, no resources, no information. I mean, yes, we all talk about the glory days, but those people worked for the
Yeah.
opportunity that they had. Then they started teaching the next generation to come in. So there was more
Yeah.
support, but there was less control. It was still a bit of the Wild West, where now it's a very sophisticated game and it's very competitive. So you
Yeah.
used to be able to be like, oh, somebody's selling something that's similar. Let me stick another color on it. Let me slap a different
Yeah.
brand on it. It's going to sell because there's only 5 options for the buyers
Yeah.
right now. Now there's 25, 30, 50, 100 options. So you
Yep.
can't, it's honestly, I see like winning in today's game is you just got to get more buyer centric.
Yeah.
Meaning you got to have a product. I mean, I think I put a tongue in cheek post up a little while ago. It was like, hey, how to have winning ads, have a product that doesn't suck. I mean, as much
Yeah.
as it sounds like a cop out answer, because you should have the sophisticated ad
Yeah.
strategy that makes anything else work. This is really it. So if you have something that's very like the rest of the products on the market that is maybe has a 50-cent difference, you have no reviews, like I always say, like, look at it. I like looking at ads and I like looking at products from a realistic shopper view. So for the ads, it's
Yep.
like, what does the shopper see on this page when they're looking for the ads? Where do the ads show up? What do they look like, right? And then from a seller perspective, is like, how is my product viewed in the market? Because I know we all have these like forecast spreadsheets, like, oh, all right, so my
Yeah.
products are cost this, and my cost of goods is this, and my landed cost is this, and so therefore I have to sell it at $25. If you
Yeah.
have relevant competition that's selling it at a $15 price point,
Yeah.
like the market doesn't care about your sourcing costs as much as that
Yeah.
sounds like a terrible cop out answer. So, and I'm not saying that to be like a jerk for everyone who's gotten stuck with really high sourcing costs, or everyone got stuck with insanely high shipping costs a little while ago,
Yeah.
and some people are still working off that inventory. It's a tough game.
Yeah.
But if you look at it realistically from from a market and a customer centric perspective, you will win. There's people who are still playing that old school or trying to play the old school like 2007 game. And if you start playing 2023, 2024 game,
Yeah.
you're gonna end up winning in the long run. There's
Yeah.
still room to play on on Amazon. It's just it's not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well. And previously, I used to be in Pakistan, so Pakistan doesn't have Amazon yet. But
Mhm.
now I moved to UAE in this year, so I've started seeing the ads as a Amazon as a
Mhm.
from a buyer's perspective, and yeah, it actually changes your view a lot because as a buyer, when I'm seeing different products and different types of stuff, it does really matter because anything that has more options, and I'm actually willing to do a 2 day research or 3 day research for my
Mhm.
product I'm buying. So yeah,
Yeah.
I keep going on it, and even if I sometimes I do a add to cart and then I delete it from my add to cart. So these things happen a lot, and I now it has changed my perspective a lot because once you start seeing from a buyer's perspective, it definitely changes your view a lot. Also, the sourcing cost. I think people need to dig deeper into it. Even a few of my friends, and we are on the page that uh, if you want to source things long term, you should actually physically go to China instead of
Mm.
being lazy and staying in USA. Obviously, if you are doing a small PL, then obviously it makes more sense to just stay on Alibaba or source it from anywhere you like. But even there, you have to dig a little deeper, try to find things in a more sophisticated way. There might be a supplier who is a bit cheaper and is providing a better quality, because quality matters a lot, because uh, if because if you order like 200 units and all of them are crap, you won't be able to even order another inventory. Amazon is going to shut you down so quickly. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And switching gears into that, have you tried the TikTok shop yet?
So we have not. So we are currently just managing on ad platform for Amazon
Okay.
sellers. So I have some really good connections. So if somebody wants to get in touch with somebody who advertises, helps to like UGC content on
Yeah.
TikTok, I got a guy for you. But
Yeah.
if you're asking about if we do it, no, we haven't touched it yet.
So as a I'm talking specifically as a buyer because I was using it and it's available in the
Oh,
UAE. So
oh,
I was
as a
looking.
buyer. Yes, yes. So I did recently purchase something from TikTok shop. It was pretty easy,
Yeah,
came relatively quick, wasn't too bad. Um, as the cynic who knows kind of like Amazon reviews and how things got they're sometimes a little sticky. And do we really trust the reviews? Um, I do have a bit of a hesitation when it comes to like something going viral and everybody
yeah,
being like, "Oh my gosh, it's the greatest thing ever." That being said, I did purchase a product. It was a clothing product, which I did really like it. It was super
yeah.
quality. I wasn't as thrilled with the product as there was a couple issues with it, but I would say overall it was a pretty decent experience.
Yeah. Basically, we now have to accept that Gen Z is taking over. So yeah, over time is over. So yeah, these people like TikTok is being used as a search platform, and this makes you laugh so much. But yeah, I personally see it a lot because especially the recent issues that are going on in the world, the most authentic news that you can get is actually from TikTok, which is very weird. But yeah, if you open your app, you will see 5-10 updates that even in your area, something is happening in Florida or something is happening in Dubai. You can just open your app and you can see that. So yeah, TikTok has transformed, and it's very weird, to be very honest. From my perspective, it's very weird. How do you see it? Because yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how it eventually shapes the landscape. My love language is low effort memes. Like, don't get me wrong, half of my
Yeah,
news updates, I'm like, wow, all these memes are showing up on my Facebook feed and
yeah,
TikTok feed. Maybe I should go research the news because obviously there's something that to that.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's honestly how I consume. I also don't really, I like to stay up on current events. I feel like I
Yeah,
should
yeah,
be
yeah. I
aware,
understand, I
but
understand. Yeah.
I'm not a huge news watcher. I don't really follow
Yeah, yeah,
social
I understand. I understand.
media.
It's yeah, it's a downer whenever you watch
Yeah.
the news. But yeah, my point was everything is available on TikTok, and yeah, it's kind of
Mhm.
weird, but it's also available. So it's yeah, it's actually makes your life easier. Just like the shopping is easier. You see a product that you like, and your influencer is using it, so you can just swipe up a little, and then just click on buy, and yeah, it will be sent to your home. So yeah, that's a very seamless experience. And also, I heard the news of US trying to ban it. So is it in the works, or they have just dropped that idea?
Time will tell. They were wanting to, yeah, they were wanting to ban it from I think the App Store. That one I kind of think got dead in the water. I think the general public was pretty cynical of our current government's like
Yeah, yeah,
argument.
yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Oh,
Let's just not
uh-huh.
turn it politically. Let's just switch gears and talk about advertising. So, Google ads for Amazon, how do you see it? Yeah. So,
Yeah, so I think it's super beneficial. There is a lot of, I say a lot, I think there's a handful of apps that are really helpful when it comes to setting up Google Ads and then migrating them to, or then, redirecting the traffic to Amazon. Issues with that are, so Amazon does offer like an attribution tag, and those platforms do, use the attribution tag. From what I heard, again, this is not something that we run in house, so it's me keeping ear to the ground and having again contacts. If you want the contacts, I
yeah,
have
yeah.
them. But attributions are a little bit iffy on that. I don't think it's super clean. If Amazon can dial in its attributions, that would go a long way to for sellers to be super confident when running off-platform traffic. Right now, it's a little bit difficult for people to have uh, really good confidence in like
Yeah.
what kind of conversions they're getting from off platform.
Yeah. So we had in this Prime Day, we had like a proper influencer marketing. Like we do influencer
Oh,
marketing in
nice.
house. So uh, so the story is about Amazon attribution. So we got like 100 comments on there, and the girls were saying that we have bought that product. We went to the link and we bought that product. That influencer is really good. So yeah, we got a lot of influencers there, and they were saying that they have bought that product. I go into advertising console. I see
Mhm.
there are only two purchases.
Yeah.
And we are seeing sales there in in our business reports. We are seeing sales on the TikTok as well, where people are saying that we have bought it. We are actually growing over over the brand's channel, the brand's TikTok. It is also has seen growth as well. People are following us. But yeah,
Mhm.
Amazon attribution says no, you have only two sales.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, to the point, I think I would rather have them underreport than overreport. I think people
Yeah.
would be more pissed off if they were like, "Look, you got 200 sales," and you're like, maybe 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it definitely is underreporting, which, I mean, to the point, I haven't really delved into the metrics on their reporting, but my
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
is hopefully they'll put some more resources into that.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully. And I think they are I think their focus is very different now. Like, did you see that I saw that they are also offering the at TV ads as well. I saw it on someone's timeline that there is a fourth form of advertising coming, like
Yeah,
sponsor
yeah, yeah, for
product,
the TV.
sponsor display, and yeah.
Yeah, so
So
Amazon is definitely ramping up their efforts in streaming. They have some, I've seen it personally as a consumer, and then I've heard from some other people in the space that Amazon intends to essentially become one. I don't know what you would say, like access point essentially for a lot of different streaming channels. So if you've ever like, if you use like Amazon Prime TV, you'll see like there's a lot of shows offered, but it's
yep,
you have to like have additional subscriptions through that. So the point of that is that, I mean, you're still paying for the additional subscription. So a lot of people are like, why am I even paying for
yeah,
subscriptions anymore? Because I got like 20 different ones I gotta watch.
yeah,
But that being said, part of the kind of the issues in viewing shows through a bunch of different subscriptions, you got to go log into that one, and then I got to go check there, and then I got, and it becomes super siloed, and it's kind of annoying from a consumer standpoint. So what they're looking to do is essentially create an access point. So you're paying through Amazon, and I'm sure Amazon's getting a piece of pie, and then they can have all of those streaming channels in there. With that access, that opens up a lot of options for TV ads,
yep,
through their own through Amazon Prime. And I don't know what kind of relationships they have with the other streaming platforms, but that's potential. So there's a whole bunch of ad real estate that just opened up. And so it looks like they're creating much easier access to that. So then they can have a lot of products and things advertised through their streaming channels. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes long term. Then time will tell, what kind of ad costs you're going to have and then
yeah.
returns. So we'll see.
That's very insightful. That's very insightful. And in UK, I saw that Amazon Prime has said that if you don't want ads, then you have to pay a little extra. So
Yeah.
that's already being rolled out. So I think they are going to heavy on advertising. So on the DSP side, we used to have that option to do on Amazon
Mhm.
Prime, but I think they are going to convert into the advertising console. Obviously, DSP is now also a part of advertising console, which is more weird because advertise like I used to be happy that I know DSP, and I used to tell them like it's another form of
Mhm.
Amazon that's sophisticated and stuff like that. And now they are just merging it together. So yeah, it kind of breaks my heart. But yeah, going forward, I think they are going to make it more simpler because DSP on its own, you got line items and stuff like that. That just confuses people. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
we'll just see. There's definitely been a push to try and aggregate a lot of things. Like the other thing that they're doing is they have their advertising partner network, which we're a part of, and it is simply just, it recognizes people who partner with Amazon sellers on the ad side, and then gives you I think a couple extra options actually within the advertising part. Like no one knew about it because like nobody uses it. To your point, like it's like a separate access point. It's really
yeah,
clunky to use, but they actually had insights into like what products are being advertised and data down to a SKU level. And they even had an option to automate bidding. Like there was a bid automation
nice.
options inside of the advertising part. Like no one used it because again, it was very separate how it's going to interact with the ads. Like we never had like a lot of confidence in implementing it, but it was kind of interesting to see sort of what they made available. It's kind of clunky as it was, but they're now going to sync the advertising partner network with the ad console. So they've had kind of all of these separate things for a while, but it seems like they're trying to like bring them, make them a lot easier to use, or like inside the ad console now, you can navigate between the different marketplaces, which is nice. I mean, it used to be you had to like log into each individual marketplace. It was a
Yeah,
huge pain to navigate. So now they have that, or the option to like launch a product ad and have it be pushed out to all of the marketplaces, which is great for like auto campaign setups. So there's a lot of options. They're trying to make it easier to use as the options kind of grow exponentially and it
yeah.
also gets more complicated.
Yeah. So the weirdest one I saw is the multi-country campaign where you can just
Mm-hmm.
see everything, in one tab. And that just complicates everything for me personally because, the way our brand works is that, we have separate
Mm-hmm.
goals for everyone because
Yeah.
obviously Canada reacts very different from German market and German market reacts
Yeah.
very different from US market. So but yeah, it's interesting to see that you can potentially manage it from one place, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it will get very complicated if you try to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And also, like, you should be doing specific keyword research for every marketplace. Like, I wouldn't take a keyword campaign and roll it out like everywhere. That's not going to
Yeah.
work very well. But I mean, if you have something super basic like an auto or a retargeting campaign, those things are pretty much universal. So those you can do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
for.
That makes sense. Okay, so my next question would be, what's your favorite marketplace after US? Because obviously US is the biggest marketplace, and it's a
Mm.
good one. But yeah, after that, which one would you prefer launching a product into, or you enjoy working on as a advertiser?
Yeah. Hmm. Maybe Canada and Mexico. Those ones tend to translate pretty well. UK also does as well, but I mean to your point, UK, uh, the language is different. For instance, we use the word diapers. They don't use the word diapers. I forget
Yeah,
what the Pampers or I. No, I'm not even going to try and remember what it is. But there is specific
yeah,
differences.
subtle differences. Yeah,
Yeah, and so you wanna pay attention to that. Honestly, I think the best second marketplace to launch into is the one that has the best search volume for that particular product. So we have like some clients where they absolutely crush it in Mexico, like it does really really well, and then there's other clients where you launch in Mexico and you're like,
yeah,
is the market broken or is nobody buying?
yeah,
Like you're trying to figure it out. So we'll often do that for clients. Like we've done that as a favor a couple times. Like we had one client, they went into Canada. It works well. We were managing it for them there. And then they went to launch into Australia. And so, to your point, to manage an additional marketplace in advertising, it's basically like managing an entirely new account. I mean, you don't have
yeah,
the learning curve with the products, but the keyword research, the search term, like every report and every single thing is going to be different for every marketplace. So we do have an additional surcharge for every market. If you do
yep,
volumes with us, we'll probably cut a deal, but um, there is just our time cost to be able to manage it. So what we'll do oftentimes is like we did keyword research for Australia and we're like, look, given the potential search volume, like we'll set up the campaigns for you and maybe like if you want to go manage them or we want to touch them every so often, we're like the volume, it just isn't going to make any sense for you to pay the additional surcharge. Like I don't want to screw anybody. Like
yeah,
you're not going to
yeah,
make the sales volume to make it work. Which was totally fine. We set up the initial campaign. We were like, hey, look, if it starts popping off and like we were wrong about search volume, then
yeah,
we can take it on, no problem. But it just ended up like, yeah, it wasn't it gets a couple hits a month on the auto campaign, and that's pretty much enough to keep the account spinning. There's
yeah.
little to no search volume. So I would say like really the next market is going to be the one that has the best potential for sales growth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And to your point that sometimes you just let the auto run and then it hits sometimes. But yeah, also to your point as well that UK has a very different keyword set of keywords, because I
Mhm.
just remember that the one we are number one for our sub category, that product is named entirely different in UK. So we have that learning curve
Yeah.
where we spent months trying to learn that why are we not getting any sales
Yeah.
on it. And yeah, we had to do that. So yeah, it's a very interesting one as well. And after Amazon, what's the platform that you would start on, if you start on, for example, if
Yeah.
you're running.
I mean, that's a good one. So we don't handle officially, we don't handle
Yeah,
any
yeah,
platforms outside of Amazon. Now we are managing Walmart ads as a favor to a couple of our brands, just because I think that that's a really natural progression from Amazon. The volume isn't as high, the ad per platform is still kind of like old school Amazon, super clunky.
yeah,
Although, go figure, they give you search and report data on a per product level, and Amazon has yet to do that. And I don't know if they're ever going to do that. So there are some advantages and some good things that are happening on Walmart. They have
yeah,
moved, I mean, gosh, it's probably a year now. They did move to a second priced auction, which made it significantly easier to have like more confidence in your bidding
yeah.
when it came to Walmart ads. So that one I think is just because it is a natural progression. The volume was on there are not going to be as high as Amazon. So for some sellers, it doesn't end up being worth it. It really just depends.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And especially when you go to cross countries, like cross marketplaces, or I think the biggest challenge for anyone is how to warehouse products correctly. So you
Mhm.
can make mistakes in that, and it ends up costing us a lot. So
Mhm.
for example, for Europe, we have to be very careful sending in the inventory, because it takes almost twice as much to
Mhm.
reach from China to Europe. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have to be very careful there. But yeah, if there are sales, then why not. So yeah, what's your thought on how do you manage inventory effectively, because that's a problem that I think everyone had in 2022.
Yes, inventory management is huge, and we also work with a lot of clothing brands. So talk about
Yeah.
like inventory management headaches, and that is something to pay attention to. So I'll talk to a
Yeah,
lot of beginning brands. They're like, "Oh yeah, we want to launch in 5 different
yeah,
marketplaces, and we have this new brand." And I'm like, "Look, do one." Right? Like figure out your management, to the point of making good deals with suppliers and getting all that. Like figure out everything on one platform and then try and move into additional platforms, because the amount of complexity you add is going to be it's going to be a lot, and you will want to
yeah,
manage specifically to that marketplace on whatever the additional platform is. And then to your point of adding, say, additional platforms to sell on, so like walmart.com or others, inventory management and making sure that you have consolidated inventory management is huge. I will say, if there's anyone who's looking for help in expanding to additional marketplaces outside of, so not marketplaces as in different countries, but like different
yeah.
platforms, Walmart, Target, etc. Um, I have someone I know closely. His name is Rick Mirsky. His company is Ecom Diversify. That's what he does. Is
Nice.
he puts people in other platforms. And one of his things is, hey, you need to get your inventory management down pat, and you need to have a consolidated platform where you can figure out where you might be low and make sure stock is there. Because if you have consolidated stock, say, so through a 3PL, and then all of a sudden Amazon takes off, and then you're
Yeah,
stuck without inventory in Walmart, like, I mean, that's a headache in and of itself. So make sure
yeah,
you're ready for that. But as for managing inventory, so that's not something that we deal with in-house, being an ad agency. That being said, it's something that affects advertising and
yeah,
something that you need to adjust advertising for. So to your point, like, you need you need to know what's up
yeah.
with the inventory. And so we were starting to build out a in-house platform, just an in-house system to be able to keep an eye on it, because that was something
Nice. Yeah,
I still talk to some ad agencies, and they're like, "Hey, we rely on our brands to be able to notify." To be honest, as much as our brands love us, like, we're normally the last when they notify. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be running out of stock tomorrow," and we're like,
yeah,
"We just launched 2 new campaigns for this product,
Yeah.
or you told us you want to ramp up sales, like, ah. And so that communication piece, it's really
Yeah.
hard to rely on brands to own that and notify you of that. So we wanted a way to have visibility ourselves, so we could go in and look and be like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to launch these campaigns because we're gonna run out of stock
Yeah.
like in a few days. So what we do, we started building an in-house platform, and then we ended up partnering with a service provider called KPOC. I like their analytics. I love their platform, and I've talked with them on some of their rollouts, and they have some really exciting future rollouts. So I'm really stoked for where they're headed with the platform. But part of it is actually insights into the inventory, because like, so we could be tracking inventory say on a weekly basis, but if all of a sudden sales take off tomorrow and all of a sudden our
Yeah.
run rate, like, we might miss it. So what they do is it's I don't think it's quite real time now. I think it's 12 hours or something like that. But they'll update, and what they'll do is they'll track the sales run and then also the available units, and they'll actually surface alerts in the platform to say, hey, you're running ads on these products that are set to go out of stock. And so we can actually preemptively reach out to clients and be like, hey, we're seeing that this is going at, and then it'll also surface to you your 30-day sales impact. So as much as a lot of brands are super on top of that, some brands, they're just looking at their sales trends day over day, and
Yeah.
they're like, wait, why are my sales trends down significantly? It's like, oh yeah, your top 2 products went out of, like, there's no stock. You can't make sales if you don't have stock. So it also surfaces to you the 30-day sales impact, so you can say, hey, these products are out of stock and we expect this impact on the top line. So it just creates it's a lot of clarity for our brands. It's super helpful. Half the time we reach out to them before they're even aware that the inventory is having an issue. We're able to preemptively get ahead of that conversation. And then also we're aware of the potential impacts. And the workflow for us to do that is literally go check the tool, check the alerts. Takes us 2 minutes. It's pretty awesome.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's a good tool, because I suddenly remember that my first client in my first agency was, he basically signed up on the agency because the product that he launched was so awesome that it got sold out in his first week. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, he came on. The best selling product was still out of stock. It would come next month. So
Mm-hmm.
I started working there, and the second best selling one also went out of stock
Oh, goodness.
right before right before the other one came in. So after 1 month, when the good one was coming in, he started fighting with us over, I'm not getting any sales and stuff like that. And to be very honest, I couldn't even explain it to him that, you don't have a product, so how can you get some sales? Like, so yeah, we actually had a very big fight over it. And yeah, it ended up involving everyone, and the core of the issue was that he didn't have the product to sell. And he kept, yeah, so stuff like that happens a lot. And also the inventory issue, just today I got a notification that, XYZ brand, that is a really big brand on LinkedIn. They had a recent issue, that the issue was, the buying quantity, usually when you try to buy a
Yeah.
product, it says one.
Yeah.
Instead of that, it was 2000.
Oh, wow.
And for 1 month, for 1 week, they didn't notice it.
Mm.
So their sales drop was like, their best selling drop like that. So yeah, brands usually don't pay attention to stuff like that. And yeah, and it ends up, costing to the advertiser, because I was talking to the advertiser, and he was like, I am having the worst week of my life, because I'm getting the sales drop, and they are, asking me why the tacos is so high, and I don't have an answer for it, because that's the issue on there. And so yeah, stuff like that happens. But so the can you rename the tool, and I would like to display it there as well, so that
Yeah,
people
yeah,
can.
yeah. No, I would love to. And I have an affiliate link with them or something. Or
Nice,
I
nice,
have a way
nice.
that they can get a discount off the first week. So full disclosure, it is an enterprise tool. I always tell everyone, I was like, it's way more robust than I should ever have to have as an ad agency. Like, it's made for full service management. That being said, there's so many things that touch ads
Yeah.
that, to your point, like inventory or review. So for one instance, like we had a client, the reason why I got it is their analytics and their comparison dashboard. I pretty much got a demo from a friend, and I was like, all right, I need that.
Yeah.
Let me talk to them. So I reached out, talked to them, got on their tool, and been loving it ever since. And that when I presented it to our team, they were like, "Oh yeah, that seems super cool." And now everyone's like, "How can I get access? Is the brand hooked up?" Like that's the first
Yeah.
thing we do with every single one of our brands. Like so, for instance, we had a client. Conversion rates are huge, right? And troubleshooting conversion rates.
Yeah.
So I love their analytics display, and you can actually go down to a per SKU level and watch on a graph the differences in conversion rate. So if I'm
Nice, nice.
troubleshooting a product,
Yeah.
I look at what we call the Amazon growth equation, which is your conversion rate, your sessions, your traffic. So it's essentially looking at how much traffic is going to the listing, sessions, what is the conversion rate on that traffic, unit session percentage, and then how much are we making every time we generate an order, which is like essentially your sale price. So what you can do is when you're trying to troubleshoot those sales issues to the client going, what happened to my product, right? Well, I mean, you can go check the listing, you can check the bit, like you can check in 20 different places. We go to KPOC, so
Nice.
KAPOQ, and what we'll do is we'll look at that product and we'll graph it. So they have a, I think it's a performance dashboard, and so we'll click into that product, and what we'll do is you can display up to 4 different metrics. So we'll
Nice.
display the session, so the traffic, the conversion rates, and then the sale price. And what you can do is you can say, okay, which of these went down? Which of these
Yeah.
is worse? So if I was looking to that point of the product where, it's displaying like the 2,000 products, I would go and look, I would say, do we have the same traffic? And what is it? Most likely what you're going to see is the conversion rate went like this. And so we go, oh,
Yeah.
okay, the conversion rate issue, right? So then we go say, why did the convert, which you go look at the listing. So we did this with one of our clients. We see conversion rates down. Okay. And then we looked at the star rating. Okay, the star rating went down. Why did the star rating go down? And oh wait, it was that our returns went up. So we said, okay,
Oh, yeah,
why did
yeah.
the
Returns
returns
went
go
up.
up,
Yeah.
right? So in the tool, there's a way you can analyze the returns. So we went into the tool and we looked at that products and returns, and we said, okay, everyone's saying they got used products, and then it also displays like what happened to the products. Oh, the products are going back into inventory. And so I go to him and I said, hey, so we were on a call. I literally did this live on the call with the client. It took me 5 minutes. And I went,
Nice.
okay, conversion rate's down, reviews are down, reviews are saying used products. Okay, let's go to returns, used products back into inventory. I said, and this was a product that once the package was opened, you really shouldn't be reselling it. And I said, what are you guys
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
with your returns? Like, are you guys taking back your returns? And they said, oh no, like they weren't doing it. Fix that, right?
Yeah.
So you take it from, oh my gosh, my sales are a problem, to diagnosing of the problem, action item. So instead of you saying, I have no idea, there's an issue, you should fix it, you go, hey, this is not within my wheelhouse, this is not my responsibility, but here's your issue, here's what you guys can do about it. In the meantime, we'll adjust ads for this. And you end up with clients having much more clarity, and then you just having an understanding, and you take on, it's more than an advertising role. It's honestly like a support
Yeah.
role at that point. But from what I found in just my years of managing, is that's really a lot of what sellers are looking for
Yeah.
when they don't fully understand something. They're like, most of them aren't getting angry just to get angry. They're like, there's a I get the same way in business, right? If I have a problem and I'm like, hey, I know I have an issue. I know what's wrong. I have no idea why this is wrong, and I have no idea what to do about it. And that, as a business owner, regardless of the business, just creates a lot of anxiety because you
Yeah.
have no idea what to do. So if somebody came to me and was like, hey, I know you got an issue, but here's what I'm seeing is the diagnosis, and here's what you can do about it. All of a sudden, it's the same exact problem. I'm still faced with the sales problem, but I'm like, oh, there's something I can do about it. Okay, now I have an action plan.
Yeah. And yeah, two takeaways from this. First thing, we had that order issue, and it took us a whole day to recognize it. So
Mhm.
I might be using the your tool as well.
Yeah.
And the second one is, I recently started a business, and I had the same issue, and I had no idea what caused it. And oh, the curiosity I felt, like
Yeah.
yeah, I did some stupid things that day. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense, that we don't know what's wrong, we know something is wrong, and
Hmm.
we have no idea, like yeah. So we end up doing a lot of stupid stuff over it. So yeah, it's better if we know. And also the advertiser has to wear a lot of hats. So yeah, that's kind of
Yep.
a thing. When you become a really good advertiser, then you have to get a lot of hats and then wear them. I usually get people like even in UAE as well, because Amazon is fairly new here. They come to me and they're like, oh, you seem like a really good advertiser, so launch a product for me. And I'm like, this is not as easy as it seems.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to have your money and launch a product for you, just this is not a hat that I can wear, because product hunting and product sourcing is not something an advertiser should be doing, because we see it from our perspective. So yeah, that's a important one. So what would be the, like, I have one question from you, and we are hitting the 45-minute mark. So I think that would be our last question. What would be your advice to the people who are just starting out? One, the starting out seller who just wants to start and product hunting site. Second, the advertiser who is just starting out and he wants to learn advertising.
Yeah, good question. So for someone doing product sourcing in your first product, I would say your business success is going to sink or rise depending on your product sourcing. So I would say don't rush it, get it right. As much as you want to find your product yesterday and you want to get
Yeah.
going and selling, it's not something that you can skip over. The second thing that I would say to sellers is, as much as it is important to vet a lot of product sourcing is done through looking at the competition and the potential in the space and the category. Another thing that I would vet highly is the amount of search volume for relevant keywords. There are certain products on Amazon. With Amazon advertising, you do not create demand. So it's not like Facebook where you can go out and you can find, the groups of shoppers and say like, all right, get everyone who looks like this, right, and build an
Yeah.
audience building. That's what I'm looking for. You don't build the audience. The shoppers are coming to Amazon, typing out what they want, and then you're harnessing that traffic, that search traffic that is already there. So if you launch a product with little to no search traffic for relevant keywords, you're going to struggle to gain visibility. And if you go outside the relevant searches, outside relevant searches to me would be like, say you had I can't think, like a car seat cover for a kid, right?
Yeah.
Say there's like no search volume at all for car seat cover, but there's a lot of search volume for like car seat accessories, right? So that's going outside of the usual sphere of your shoppers. Your conversion rates are not going to be that high, and you're going to struggle to get conversions, and you're going to struggle to get relevant traffic. So I have seen some sellers who have sourced products because all of the numbers work, but they failed to track the search traffic for the products. So I wouldn't leave that piece out of your product research piece.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's a really good one, because on Facebook you can create
Mhm.
demand, sort of create demand as well. But yeah, on Amazon, the search term is the king. And yeah, if you because we had this issue where
Yeah,
my friend sourced a product that was very unique, and he was telling me like, yeah, nobody else has the product.
yeah,
That product no one else has, and there was a reason why no one else had that
yeah,
product.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, there is potential to your point of like TikTok advertising or other ones. Like, you can create your own category on Amazon if you
yeah,
can create enough demand and then redirect that demand to Amazon. There is the potential to create your own category. That's a lot harder than
yeah,
harnessing Amazon demand, and that requires a heck ton of knowledge about external traffic and brand building. Like, that's not your first product to somebody who's never done e-commerce before. Like,
yeah.
that's a completely different beast. So if you're looking to sell specifically on the Amazon platform, I would say take into account relevant search traffic, as well as, all the other metrics you should be looking at for product sourcing. And then for somebody who's trying to get into maybe Amazon advertising, freelancing, I would say just get really good at the basics. There are two things that I am highly convinced that if you can get right, you can get a lot of other things wrong and still do good. Like, you want to get everything right, but like if you had to get two things right, I would say it would be keyword selection and bid adjustments.
Yeah.
So focus on those two things and getting them. When I talk about getting better at the basics, those are the two things that we're looking to get better at and more efficient at. And I would say try, and if at all possible, to look at things from a business centric view. The more I'm in this industry, the more that I kind of go towards that. Meaning, a same product, different seller. One seller says, hey, I have a large ad budget, I really want to push this, I want to generate sales, I know I'm going to be unprofitable for a little bit, but hey, I just want that sales volume. Versus another seller that comes in, same product, same category, and says, hey, I really know that this is a launch phase, but I only have $200 a day to spend. I know it's going to take a little bit longer to hit my sales goals, but we need to be a little bit more profit conscious on this launch. Those
Yeah.
two ad accounts are going to look polar opposite. Same product,
Yeah.
same niche,
Yeah.
different goals. So the more that you can get those two things right, bids and keywords, the more that you can understand marrying business goals with ad strategy, I would say, yeah. And if you had to work on a third thing long term, I would say just understanding analytics.
That's a really good point where you can have two sellers who have the same product and totally different strategy. And yeah, yeah, because I have had both of them, and
Mhm.
yeah, both of them can yeah, the account looks very different when you are
Mhm.
trying to save up the budgets, and then when you are trying to grow. And yeah, it actually, I guess it comes down to when people used to have like the flipping business thing where they
Yeah.
would just, yeah, so stuff like that. But yeah, that's a really important one, because if you don't understand what the business owner wants, and you end up making some mistakes, because the problem with advertising is that you can the mistake needed to be fixed yesterday. So a lot of the times that's what I feel like if you are getting a bad ACOS right now, it needed to be fixed last week. So yeah, there's nothing you can do right now. You can make changes today and it will reflect 3 days from now. And
Yep.
if it's sponsor display, it will never look good. So yeah.
Yep. No,
So
I
yeah.
agree with that.
So yeah, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for coming here for the podcast. It's 52 minute mark, and I really enjoyed talking to you. And you have been a mentor for us for a very long time. So yeah, it was a really good session. Thank you so much. Do send me the name of that product so that I can
Yeah,
display it
for sure.
inside. And do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, no, other than just I appreciate the conversation. It was fun being on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care.